according to paragraph 3, a red giant forms because the star is burning the hydrogen that remains in its core. No, right? The helium extent in the star starts burning, okay? And it expands tremendously, becoming a red giant. So it's not the helium, not the hydrogen, but the helium, all right? So A is wrong. The star expands once it starts to cool off. It starts cool. It goes into a cooling stage, and it contracts. The core contracts, but at the same time, the surface area expands. So you can't say it expands. Okay. The helium left in the star begins to be consumed. Hold on. You can say it expands after cooling off, right? It happens after the cooling. Okay, so it's somewhat right. The helium left in the star begins to be consumed. This is why a red giant is formed. So C is more relative than B. So let's look more. This is not. There is not enough energy remaining for it to use. No, there is helium, right? So a red giant forms because of what? It uses up all of the hydrogen and it goes under a cooling period and the core contracts, but the surface expands, all right? And at some point, the helium extent in the star starts burning. So the star heats up again and it expands at this time very much, okay, becoming a red giant. So using the helium extent is more relative, okay, so the answer is what? The answer C is a better answer than B, alright? The author's description of the death of a star mentions all of the following, but what? It stops letting out light. So it enters a stage where it is a black dwarf. This is right? After more time elapses, the star loses its ability to produce both heat and light, so it transforms into a black dwarf. So this is right. It becomes a white dwarf since it cannot produce heat anymore. No, right? It becomes a black dwarf because it doesn't produce heat anymore. So B is not right. So B is the answer, right? There are many minor stages it must endure as it dies. Endure means to experience without avoiding, because you can't. Experiencing a difficulty or some painful experience, right? Minor stages. There are minor stages. Each of the stage in a star's life also includes many substages. Each of the stage, so the death of the stage might include many substages. So C is right. The process by which it dies may take an eon to occur. Is this right? Still, the death can take millions or billions of years to transpire, to happen. So this is right. So which is not right? B is not right. So B is the answer. The word paradoxically in the passage is closest in meaning to. paradoxically well. I need to box it. Hold on. Very tiny stars, which are reddish in color, sometimes formed. Paradoxically, they burn their hydrogen and helium quite slowly, so they last longer than their much larger cousins do. So paradoxical means what? Strangely, because it's smaller, right? And it will have less hydrogen and helium, but they burn it slowly, so they last longer. So it's strange. So what is the answer? Ironical, what does that mean? Ironic means being odd or amusing because it involves a contrast. Okay, so A is very similar to paradoxically. A is the answer. Uniquely means being the only one, right? Individually, no, right? Sardonical, what does that mean? Sardonical means the attitude to a person or something, okay, being humorous, okay? The attitude towards a person or a thing being humorous, but very critical. That's sardonic. So D is not right. A is the answer. According to paragraph 5, which of the following is true of giant stars? Which of the following? They are roughly the size of yellow dwarfs when they begin their lives. No, right? They are much bigger stars. They have a small amount of hydrogen and helium and exhaust it rapidly. They rapidly deplete their hydrogen and helium supply and have shorter lifespans than yellow dwarfs like the Sun. It doesn't say they have small amounts, alright? So this is not right. They quickly burn all of their gases and thus do not last for very long. So C is the answer. Their name is a misnomer as they are actually smaller than red giants. Red giant is the stage of a star from a yellow dwarf. But giant stars are much bigger stars, so this is not right, right? Misnomer means a name or a word which explains something wrongly, okay? So D is not the answer. So C is right, C is the answer. In paragraph 5, the author of the passage implies that supernovas are what may happen to dying yellow dwarfs. No, right? It happens to what? Supernovas are what happens to what? Giant stars, right? Some are gargantuan, okay? These are called giant stars, and some do not collapse but explode in what is called a supernova. So this is not happening to yellow dwarfs. Produce enough energy to destroy a black hole. It doesn't destroy a black hole, right? Black hole is one of the consequences of the supernova. Are able to be seen from Earth when they happen. look, one of the supernova have two results, and one of them are what? The black hole. Okay. So you can't say that it destroys the black hole. Do you understand? And if you see here, one of them is what? The neutron star, and they emit pulsars, and they are the pulses of electromagnetic radiation, which can be noticed on Earth. But you don't know if it can be seen or sensed in a different way. So we're going to look more if there's anything better than this. Can only happen during the death of a giant star. This happens in the death of a giant star, right? A supernova, right? So D is a better answer because you don't know if the pulses can be seen or sensed in another way. So the answer would be D. Look at the four squares that indicate where the following sentence could be added to the passage. In fact, they are so powerful that they can theoretically, in theory, eat up planets and even stars. In fact, what does that mean? In fact, you use this expression when you want to emphasize something, right? Emphasize what you have just said. They are so powerful. What is so powerful that it can consume planets and even stars? What? So neutron stars emit pulsars. They are the pulses of electromagnetic radiation that can be noticed on Earth. The other is a black hole, a phenomenon with very strong gravity from which not even light can escape. Okay, and in opposition, very different from giant stars, there are tiny stars. Okay, which are reddish in color. So what will be so strong? Strong gravity, right? So it will go after this. And from this, from here, it's about the tiny stars, so it doesn't have any relation to strong force. So it will go to the second square.